Ladies and gentlemen, let's try this again. Welcome back to the Sofa Kingz YouTube channel. My name is AJ, and joining alongside me is my good buddy, my good friend, Steven Shred. I keep introducing him the same way, but there's no other way to introduce him. Would you disagree with me?
I'll take it, man. But let's hype you up this time, man. Give it up to my good friend Sater.
Hey, I appreciate.
Producer does an insane amount of work to make all this happen. Let's give it up to him.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you. I know what people didn't see is me just freaking out for a second here over a bad start. But speaking of starts, we had an interesting start to the beginning of the episode. Trevor Wells could not fight due to a cold sore that he picked up most likely during the initial sparring session that Connor had set for his team. And therefore, Timur Valiev did not get his opportunity to fight against said fighter. Man, Steven, what did you think? What did you think of how the UFC tried to respond, more specifically the coaches and Dana White?
Yeah, it was a surprise to me. I didn't know that was a thing, that fight could be called off by a cold sore, but as it went on, and I thought about it more, it made sense. Like, you know, they don't want that getting all mixed up with everything, especially with, you know, all the wounds and everything that a fight can bring. It's probably just like a medical contagion kind of thing, even if it's not like a huge deal.
Yeah,
they want to just eliminate risk.
Yeah, it can spread. So like, have you ever had like a ringworm before?
I have not.
Okay, it's kind of like that. So it's just an infection that you get, and it's pretty contagious. But you hear Connor talk about it in the episode. You know, he goes up to Trevor and says, "Hey, it already looks dry." Da da da. But typically, those kinds of things, if they pop up immediately, it's not dry. It's not dry, and it's pretty highly contagious, which means Trevor might have to just sit out like a good couple days of training. And that's a lot. That's a lot of training that you can be getting done, especially in such a short format of a show. They only have a couple weeks with these coaches, and I'm sure they want to pick their brains as much as possible. So now Trevor has to figure out a way to pick the brain without applying most of the technique probably with the training partner. So we'll see how that goes. I enjoyed how the coaches got together with Dana. Dana shows up to work that day and goes, "Oh shit, okay, we have this going on." And now they quickly scramble to maybe make a catchweight fight, which I like. I like that they're not going to put these guys through another weight cut. And I like that was their first thought, or I don't know if it was the first thought. This is a very edited show. Right, make no mistake about it. It's edited, not as edited as this show, right? But enough. No. So the next fight we get is Mando Gutierrez and Cody Gibson. Mando Gutierrez most notably lost a decision fight to Raul Rosas Jr., a guy that I have competed with at the same couple jiu-jitsu tournaments before. I know some people that are big fans of him. I know some people that fucking hate that kid. I don't know. I think he's got some talent. I'm excited to see that. I was surprised they didn't want to like just put him in here, like just put him in tough and just see how it works out.
Yeah, that I've mentioned it before. I think they were going the whole freak show route and just hoping it worked out. Not saying that he's a freak or anything, but it's a term that has been used a lot in MMA. Boxing, any combat sport. A freak show fight or a freak show is the idea that they have one thing that just highlights them as an individual, like the fact that he was so young. Like we've seen freak show fights with guys that are like, oh, this guy is 7 feet tall, so it's like the only thing they talk about. So it makes sense why they didn't, but they should have.
When you're hyping up a fighter, it has to just deal with the storytelling element of it all. And for the storytelling, I mean, it works that Raul Rosas Jr. is a very young kid and he wants to be a champion. I don't think he's going to have that as quick of a shot as they thought he was going to have. I think he's got a lot of things to take care of. I would like to see more striking out of him. I don't want to see just immediate grappling. I know he has high-level grappling. I've seen it firsthand. It's very good. He's very fucking good, and he's been doing this against adults for a while now. So I don't want people to think like, oh, he's gonna go up against grown man strength for the first time. No, he's been dealing with this. He has been dealing with dudes who are training, who are on roids, and trying to beat him actively every day. Because make no mistake about it, the jiu-jitsu scene is filled with steroids. Unlike the PFL, apparently. PFL has zero tolerance, apparently, because they were willing to fucking out all their guys.
Half of their light heavyweight division is gone. That's
insane.
That's a look.
It's a look. I don't know what's gonna happen, but it's a look. Moving on, Cody Gibson, most notably, has a loss, or I think his first UFC fight was to a little known fighter. I don't think anyone knows who he is. Aljamain Sterling, of all people. Cody Gibson said he won round 2, maybe. I don't remember that fight. I think he said he fought like in 2014, like that was his last UFC fight. You know, so
that's a while ago.
Yeah. Man, should we just talk about the fight? Because that's...
Yeah, we get right into it.
I mean, what'd you think of the finish?
Dude, I always love a good time knee. that will always bring excitement. So I loved it.
It looked like his nose was split.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looked like he took it real bad. It was gushing as soon as he got up.
Yep.
But
his eye, I think he had like his eye was closed shut, and like you saw the stitches around it. So I don't know if he has like a broken orbital or something like that.
Yeah, it looked like he took a really hard shot, but I thought it was a clean finish. Ref called it just in time. You know, he wasn't defending himself. He was obviously down from the knee.
Yeah,
thought it was clean. You have any thoughts on it?
I like that he started the sequence. Well, okay, he caught him hitching, and if you don't know, hitching is when you're constantly, if you're gonna slip and like come and drop level, if you're gonna do it to the same side, or if you're constantly doing it every time and you're here, it's kind of like a boxer movement, right? So you're covering each hip. Cody Gibson, being the veteran that he is, was able to kind of make that read, and I thought for a second it was a switch knee, but he just brought up his left knee and then swung his right, and that was it. That was all she wrote. It was really well timed. For Trevor Wells, man, you got to feel for the kid. Comes out and just the thing that he tells Connor kind of it didn't break me, but I was like, that hurts. When he's just like, that's not the best I am, and Connor's like, I know, because that's true. Like, it's like the amount of fights that we see, even for like our highest level people, don't even come close to showcasing how good these fighters are. Like, the amount of training sessions that we never get to see where they get to pull off some of the craziest shit in like no pressure situations, you know what I mean? Where there's no cameras, nothing like that, and they're just hitting it. I know that Trevor Wells is a good fighter. All these kids are going to be great. Whether they go back to their local scene and just cause a havoc there. But yeah, I feel for them. But the veterans really showcasing their resilience. 2 weeks in, Connor, I think, might take to his losses a little bit more. He's a very competitive guy. Do you think he can get some wins coming up? Do you think he cares?
I think Connor cares. I like one thing that has been showcased a lot when Connor takes on people and when he starts training, it seems like he grows like an attachment to like people.
Yeah.
Like, we saw with like the crew that he was rolling with a few years ago, like the people that he trains with, even if it's a short amount of time, he grows like a certain attachment with them.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like, which I think is why the people that he has trained with in the past, when they say something bad about him, he snaps and goes the complete opposite.
Yeah.
Because I think he just feels this camaraderie between training people, and when people like go against that, it just turns bad.
Yeah, I mean, don't
think
forget
really
the bus
cares.
incident. Not that anyone ever is, but don't forget the bus incident and why he did what he did. He loaded up the private jet and said, "Fuck it, let's go."
Yeah. Or what happened with I can never remember his last name. Paulie, the boxer he was training with for Floyd Mayweather fight, started talking trash and it got real heated.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like people he trains with, I think he takes that to heart.
Yeah.
So for better or worse, I think Conor really cares, and I think it's showing a lot more. I liked what he had to say more at the end of this fight than last week's. Last week's all Conor said at the end was kind of like, "Oh, well, that sucked." Yeah, like he was just kind of like, "Ah, well, we took a loss." This one, he actually seemed like he was more invested in like the fighter. He was more invested in Gutierrez and being like, it's okay. Like, we'll take the loss. It's fine. Like, it doesn't take away from you. I liked his approach a little more, as more compassionate than, like, oh man, I'm losing the competition.
Yeah, I mean, we got to see Conor hang out with the crew for a little bit. He got his hair cut up by Mando actually, and I think that had a little bit to do with it, man. Like you end up, like even if you only see that barber once or twice in your life, you're gonna have a conversation with the dude. That's just how the barbershop goes. You know what I mean? It's so maybe he forms an attachment there. Maybe he sees something in some of the other guys, but that was his number one guy, I think, at 35, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Was it 30? Yeah, it was 35, I want to say.
Yeah, 35.
Next week, we have Aaron McKenzie, Austin Hubbard. So this is going to be interesting. Austin Hubbard being the veteran and the former being the prospect. So interesting fight. We also have what I think is a charity event on the next episode. Either a charity event or like some kind of reseller kid. I don't know. They brought on some kid. I don't know who he is. So I don't know if it's like some foundation going like you get to meet your hero or something. Either way, I like when the UFC does cool stuff like that. I think it helps the community grow in a way. And I'm interested for the rest of the season. I think I'm on board. But right now the veterans are showing just how good they really are, and maybe this has to deal with Chandler's coaching. Would you disagree? Agree? Spot on?
Yeah. I would definitely say that Chandler being, obviously a veteran himself in MMA as a whole, not the UFC, but very, very long like career. I think he can maybe pick the things out of these veterans and bring those to light. Maybe that's part of the reason why they're so good right now, why they're on this streak. But then at the same time, maybe it has nothing to do with that. Maybe they were just seeing two fighters, and the two that got picked for Chandler's team just happened to get in the cleaner shots with two TKO, or well, a TKO and a knockout 2 weeks in a row. So
I think that's definitely the well. Okay, so the first knockout, I think he just got him early, and that was it. And I think that was part of Conor's reaction was just like like I don't know, like maybe the kid can't take a shot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just like you got into a firefight really fucking early on, and just it happens with the loss this week with Mando. I think one, he felt shit because that's my number one guy I picked at 35, and 35, especially like the division now. Conor knows it's full of like really hard fucking matches. Like these guys are gonna have to really pick it up, really learn if they're gonna want to be sitting there with some of the best strikers in the world, some of the best wrestlers in the world. So far we've seen more just striking and more willingness to strike, and maybe we see nothing but that for Tough, and I'm sure that's good for business, but some of these fighters are going to have to play it safe, and I think maybe we're due for a couple of decision wins coming up.
Yeah, so far we haven't made it out of the first round, so
yeah. Well, I mean, let's see how long it goes. I mean, I say let's make a bet right here, right now. Some push-ups. Right. What do you say? Right. The next Sounds fight, good. Would you rather take decision or would you rather take finish?
I'll go finish.
You'll go finish? All right. Yep. How about a good 50 push-ups, yeah?
Sounds good to me.
All right, 50 push-ups. I will take the decision. I will take the boring route. I will go against the fans. It's okay. I'll take the hate. Someone has to. That being said, Steven Shred, my man, my partner, thank you so much for hopping in for this episode. Today we do have a PFL card. Real quick on that, no one knew what the fuck was going on for this card. Bubba Jenkins is on it. I think I was the only dude I knew. I was like, oh, okay. There's a couple UFC fighters. I think there's a couple guys on the prelims.
Yeah. I've seen that.
But the way how they do their card is like, it's always hard to find one or the other like thing. It's either you can either find the prelims or you can only find the main card. Don't understand it. I don't know what's going on with PFL. Maybe today's a better example, but if not, I'm going to go on a fucking huge rant later. So thank you again, Steven. To everyone else who's watching, we appreciate you. Go ahead, subscribe, hit that notification bell for more MMA content, reactions, AI predictions right here, Sofa King's YouTube channel. Thank you guys. We'll see you on the next one.
Yeah.